Last but not least is the signal processing. Signal processing is the 20% that happens in the mixer after the gain and the EQ. كويس؟ ودي بقى اللي هم اللي انتوا بقى بتحبوها الريفيرب والايكو والمش عارف ايه فاهمني هو السبايس كويس؟ And honestly, if there's one advice that I have to tell you, don't worry about it, and if you use it, you have to use it very judiciously. يعني you can, it is, and this is where the professionals work. لما حد يبقى experienced بيبان أكتر لأنه the usually experienced sound engineers, they focus more in what really matters in the gain, and they use very little of processing. Just to suffice the purpose. All of these are tools to help you color the sound and achieve the sound. But again, it represents only 20% of the final coloring. يعني مثلا we spent, I think, the first year and a half in our streaming and without any reverb. It was just fine. When we added the reverb, it was a little bit better. It was nicer, it was more space, it was more relaxing لما تيجي تسمعها. لكن 80% of the beauty of the music was already there simply by mixing it correctly. فاهمين قصدي إيه؟ And the sound signal processing احنا قلنا already equalizer, which is the most important, but في حاجات كتيرة قوي. We usually categorize them into dynamics and reverb section or space simulation, modulation, and other special. And we all know what is an equalizer. This is what I showed you. Essentially, it's a tool it's a filter that you can define the frequency that you want to either boost or cut for each signal. زي اللي هوريها لكم. The one that I just showed you. انتوا سامعين صوت دلوقتي مستريح لكن again هفكركم لو انا قفلت الاي كيو بتاعي which is this. No. Which is this. Again لو انا قفلت ده هتلاقي صوته اتغير خالص. الو فهمت قصدي؟ this is the equalizer احنا so we don't need to repeat it, but it is more or less a combination of زي ما قلنا you have a filter. Actually لازم نقفل ده. It has a filter that you have filters for each frequency that you can either suppress or boost. The middle here, it boosts my middle frequency, and I didn't touch the high frequency because my voice is not very, it's not very sharp. Like if في ناس very sharp كده, you have to cut down the high. فاهمين قصدي إيه؟ That's why everyone is different. But that's what it is. I don't think we need to go over it again. And then there are dynamics, which Peter would supposed to cover, and I will try to cover it until he comes back, but I'll cover it in a separate way. Part of the problem of, again, back to the troubleshooting piece, more or less compressor is a device that aims at عارفين أقول لكم it's funny but at school little guys when they are going at the beginning of the day in the class and just line up and before you go to the class, usually what happens when the teacher just go to the class, usually what happens خصوصا الشقاي منهم يعني Some of them work like this. Some of them push the others, right? So a teacher, in an attempt to do this, guys line up and don't. So compressor more or less does this. For those who have very low voice and their dynamics are not very pronounced, it pushes them a bit, so it gives them a bit of boost. While the others who are very loud, it tames them down. So more or less, if you see here, I have to lower the voice. Up again. سامعين? What do you hear? Noise. فاهمين قصدي؟ So that's not good practice. That's what I'm telling you. If you use it in the wrong way, that's not the wrong way. الصوت كده أحسن ولا الصوت كده أحسن؟ كده أحسن. ليه؟ لأنه أنا so this is the sorting that issue from the gain of the input to the processing. فاهمين قصدي إيه؟ That's why using these tools to boost the gain is not a good practice. لأنه أديك سمعتوا الفرق. فاهمين قصدي إيه؟ But more or less, if I am too high, so I'll try to. Hello, 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 hello. If I'm too high and I want to. Oh, sorry, it's not. أنا آسف. أنا كنت فاكركم شايفين كل حاجة. So this is a compressor. وأنا بتكلم هنا. ده الانبوت جين. That's what the compressor is seeing. Yeah? أنا هخليه bit more إيه. Hello, 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 hello. وأنا بتكلم كده. This is what happened when the circuit works, is that this is the amount of voice reduction it imposes on my signal when I'm too high. فبحط ده الميل للناس اللي يعني مش للناس اللي بتزعق بس أنا قصدي it's one of the solutions to tame the top end of people who sing too loudly. لأن كل ما أتكلم لا 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 أنتوا مش سامعين إن الصوت أعلى قوي. ليه؟ لأنه it's doing more job. So here it actually reduces by maybe 1 to 3 decibels. لكن لو عليت صوتي قوي it's up to 10 decibels. فاهمين قصدي إيه؟ And you don't perceive that if I turn it off you don't want to hear the difference. فاهمين قصدي ولا لا؟ فكمبريسور is إيه؟ بيلم التوب end. ها؟ And it can be used also to push the low end, but again, that's not. It's better to do this from the gain rather than a limiter is off. Hello, hello. فأنا كده لما limiter is another feature that you can adjust where it doesn't send the signal more than that. It's another one. It's another way of preventing overshooting. If you turn that limiter on, yeah, مثلا if I make the limiter hello, 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 فكده it makes the signal doesn't pass and it gets activated when I'm just speaking not too loudly. While if I do this, it only goes there when I shout. فهمت قصدي؟ لا دي اسر ده حاجة تانية. دي اسر is a different one. بس فاهمين قصدي إيه؟ So that's a compressor. لو شلت الكمبريسور خالص صوتي زي ما هو. ليه؟ لانه انا عليته في حته وطيته في حته في الكمبريسور. بس لو كلمت عالي قوي فهمت فرق؟ لما اعمل كده فاهمين؟ انا لما بزعق في فرق. انا زعقت نفس الطريقه بس انتوا you didn't notice. هلو 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 شايفين داخل فين في الانبوت؟ هلو 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 كده اون كده اوف كده اون هلو 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 هلو. it controls, it tames me down, it tames the signal down. فاهمين قصدي ايه؟ A compressor is the second mostly used and most important processor after the EQ. كويس؟ أنا خلصت الكمبريسور يا بيتر. فأتصور this is what so an analog compressor. ثانية واحدة بس أنا let me actually fix that. I know. فالانالوج compressor يعني شايفين هنا أنا I intentionally increased here the gain but then reduced it by almost the same amount here. فاهمين قصدي إيه؟ Oh, not yet. I know. Sorry. فلو انتوا بصيتوا هنا انا I intentionally increased I pumped I intentionally increased the input بتاع الكمبريسور ده for it to work. If I lower it down, if I lower the input, it won't feel obliged to do anything. شايفين اهو قاعدين قاعد بتكلم هنا انا ممكن اعلي الاوتبوت بس it's not doing anything. Hello. It's not doing anything لانه already I set it up بحيث انه it has a threshold where it starts tamming things down. To make it work, I have to pump a little bit more, right? For it to work. Oh yeah, actually. Hello, فاهمين? Anyway, and there are parameters. As I said, we're not going to cover all of that. But this is the second most important tool that we use. And this is one of the more expensive analog.
But if a person is consistent, like when they're singing, they're not like soft or loud or is perfect, you won't need these. Like you'll need just a little bit. So you see how that needle was moving? So the less it moves, the better. So if you're like quiet or like really loud, then you need this one. But the best thing is to work on yourself and then make yourself consistent.
That's exactly. So we use this for preachers. Then most of the preachers don't have a good microphone practice, unfortunately.
And this applies to like guitar, piano, drums, and everything. Yeah. بالضبط. Actually, that's a very good example. Actually, you're right. I know it's almost completely impossible to control. فحلها كده. فاهم قصدي؟ لما تلاقي واحد هتعملوا ايه؟ فاهمين قصدي ايه؟ But you can't, and it is dangerous both acoustically actually on our system. يعني actually لما تلاقي حد يزعق كده في الميكروفون, it's not a good microphone practice. But again, we're not gonna change the preacher, you know. We're not going to teach them in the session, okay, this is the way you use the microphone. That's not the time for that. But you have tools to fix that. I mean, Azdi? But, anything after that is the fun stuff. But the most important stuff is what we talked about. Fun stuff, it's part of the processing, again, is reverberation. That's where the echo, and I didn't have the time to add more photos, but it's very similar to that first one. Just to explain back to this photo, back to this one. Now, في الساوند تريتمنت بتاع المكان you suppressed all the reflections that's happening here, so you can add your own color, صح؟ reverberation. يعني بدل ما again I'm using the washroom, the shower example. So if I want to reproduce that shower effect in a church, I can, but if I want to control it, I do this through processing. This is what is reverb or space simulation. It gives you the sense of space. And I هديكم examples لكده. مثلا أنا هحط هنا على the compressor. I will change that for my channel to مش شايف حاجة. Imaging, لا. Reverb. نحط السيلفر فيرب. أنهي السهل؟ متهيألي ده أسهل واحد، صح؟ So for this reverb, I can simulate. لا مش ده. I don't want this one. Silver verb, yeah. Hello. So it gives you control over the room. This is lots of fun actually. It gives you control over the room that you want to simulate, right? So the size can be bigger, and bigger, right? And it gives you, so these parameters talks about more or less what I was trying to display هنا, إنه exactly, a cathedral, yeah. So I can artificially make you feel that I'm in a cathedral, right? Or I can make it a much smaller room, still with some reflection. So you see that it's a small room, but with lots of echo. So this is a room that is not treated well, بس صغيرة. While you can make it less reflective, but bigger. Or you can make it bigger and very reflective, which would be the worst. Hello? Hello? You got my point? For all of these, that's why playing with this is dangerous. فاهمين قصدي ايه؟ then you have, this is the coloring period, this is the end of the day, what we put very fine to color the total mix. But this is not a fix for a bad signal, this is not a fix for a bad EQ, this is not a fix for a bad cable, this is not a fix for a bad singer, I'm sorry. Or a bad player. If you play the wrong chords, if you don't play on time, if you don't sing on time, as much as I can color and make that, so good signal give me the potential to do good stuff, but not vice versa. Density is more or less, it's like how many samples the system produces. Hello. Back to the digital piece. The more density, the more the tail is clean. The less dense, هتلاقيه more choppy. شايف؟ up. فاهمين الفرق؟ This has more samples. This is actually more processing power. لأنه it actually gives you the tail, clean tail out. Like in this one is like using just chopping the reverb to as smaller patches, and then you can EQ the high cut and the low cut. That's what it is. كنت عايز أقول حاجة؟ فاهمين قصدي إيه؟ This is space simulation. It can be a reverb, can be delay, can be echo, it can be different things. If you can call it like you can say that this is echo. Right? This is echo. It's the same software, but here it is reverb. صح؟ It is different names for the same concept يعني. فبتهيألي ايه تاني؟ I think that's what you guys need to know. في حاجة تانية المفروض نكبر Peter?
The rest of the stuff is just fun and boring.
Boring? Really? Fun and boring. Again from the processing. هشيل الإيكو ده عشان أنا هفتكر نفسي كده singer. فزي ما قال بيتر the 30 years ago you have to pay good few $1,000s to get something like this. Nowadays it's a plug-in in the software and you buy it in a package of $250. With the recording, with the mixer, with everything. That's why digital is, and this is another processor, and this is the reverb, and this is another software reverb like the one we use, and this is another delay like the one we use. Yeah?
So there's a device called Audio DAC, digital analog converter.
Yeah.
It's just a little tiny thing that you put in your PC. What is it? How many?
Peter, can you want to take that? I'll get you the slide. We already touched on this, but
So if we want to go from analog to digital, it's going to be called an ADC. If we want to go from the digital to the analog, let's say, to acoustic, it's going to be called a DAC. So in your case, a DAC is going from computer to acoustics, to whatever. So you're just going to plug it in through either USB, FireWire, or ADAT, or whatever the connection, and that's what it is. So DAC is digital to analog. If I want to go from analog to digital, is AD, and that's what it is.
yeah, so from a computer or from an MP3 player, because the data starts as digital, you only need digital to analog converter, right? But in a system, you need both, because you have to start with analog, unless we get robots to sing soon, actually. Yalla, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Midhat. You were amazing.
God bless you guys.
The best explanation ever.
If I will post this, convert this to PDF, and I will put it on the group chat so you can download it, guys. We'll make this video. هو رامي مش بس احنا we'll see how we're gonna post this somewhere بس بعمل شوية editing. And we'll try to put the slides in a nicer way with it, but that will need some work. But thanks for coming so much. ربنا يبارككم. The practical side is, so what happens in digital mixers, that's a good question. And the way all the difference between the microphones, all the difference between these mixers is how an equalizer looks like. Concept is the same, right? So this is from, I think, PreSonus a computer or software. The one for Alan Heath would look different, but it will be the same concept. Knowing the concept, what you need to know after that on the actual mixer is the interface, where to find the equalizer. But then the more important question that we want to cover in Harda is, okay, you found the equalizer, tell me what you're going to do. You understand? So the problem is not finding the EQ. That's the easiest piece. But what to do with it is the more important that we wanted to cover today. So what about next step? I want you to take time to absorb all this information and review this. If you are interested to go to next steps, I encourage you to tap on my back or Peter and come and see what our Janan and see what are we doing in the mix in a live. And really the good learning is dealing with problems as they happen. Also look مثلا بص مدحت بيعزف ازاي بوظ الدنيا والبيس بتاعه عالي مش عارف فمين قصدي ايه بس as a يعني the reason we wanted this is more precious لانه this is where you can do the art in any environment, whether it's digital, analog, any different mixer, any layout, everything. بعد كده هيبقى where to find this window, where to find this window, where to find this window, where is the compressor. But compressor هنا هيبقى زي فوق زي analog زي واحد في مصر زي واحد في اليابان. It's the same thing. لا that's a very good question. زي ما قلت في الأول, today is the technical part, is not the art part, right? لأنه في جزء من this is talent and taste. زي ما أقول لكم أنا I can يعني when I made my album مثلا أنا وسامح I gave it to Peter and Peter did a couple of things that I learned from and then I applied them and فاهم قصدي as long as you're doing the right practice in ABC زي ما احنا قلنا كده, everything comes after that is matter of taste. واحد يحب الكلر كده واحد يحب الكلر كده. part of the taste is development. يعني if you want my advice, for example, هتعرفوا منين this is something that you need to pursue or know is when you listen to music now, try to, based on اللي سمعتوه النهارده ده, try to, okay, that guitar sounds interesting. Huh? Try to decipher not the whole thing.
try to decipher actually صوت الراجل ده زي ما كان مدحت بيقول مثلا كذا او صوت الجيتار ده فيه حاجه غريبه and then you dig into this you have to develop if you are interested your ear will listen to things differently and because you need to develop that sense of something nice and something can be better or something wrong and something right before you do it your own then it becomes your signature فاهم قصدي؟ فانا مثلا بميكس غير جنان انا بميكس غير بيتر nothing wrong with that بس it's different colors. Other questions? Good. Thank you, Lord, for everything that you taught us today, and thank you for knowledge, thank you for science, thank you, Rob, for nature and the beauty of music. God bless you all, guys.